Yes, shalom, shalom, Habarim. Shalom, brothers, shalom, friends. Shalom, yene nigus, yene nigis. Shalom, my niggas, my nigis. My brothers, my sisters. The positive N word right there, nigus, nigist. Nigist, for queen, nigus for king. Yes, yes, my N word. That byword there. First of all, no filter. Want to heal up Doggie Diamonds. Yo, Doggie Diamonds. This is Yadin, a.k.a. Rasiadonis Tafari. Yeah? FBA. FBA, Foundational Black American Israelite. I say Rastafari. That's a whole other thing because, some think that, Rastafari. Rasta and Rastafari is two different things, but it's also on that level right there. Because when we even know the real roots of that movement, we're going to do a whole thing on that. But I'm listening to this video that you did, right? And this one right here, yeah, about Fat Joe. Been seeing this around. I think Star might have broke his back. I'm not too sure, but I was hearing about that. I haven't checked it out. But here it says Fat Joe goes in on foundational Black Americans, FBA. What's his deal? Yo, if this video should still be there, I'm checking it out in the background, and I've been listening. I was going to do a whole other video, And as, me and wifey, Isha Shali, I said, yo, put that on. And so she put that on, and I'm listening. You might be able to hear it, come from the next room right there. I'm going to rewind it. But I said, when I saw this flag right here, I don't know if ones and ones know, boom. When I saw this here, we just did a video, about Gullah Geechee, Gullah Geechee video right there, Gullah Geechee. You'll check it out on the channel, the Gullah Geechee. Yeah. And so first of all, Doggie Diamond, Joe, give thanks, man. Give thanks. When we say we're Rastafari, it's like when we say we're Rastafari, the first thing people think, well, we must be Jamaican or we must be West Indian. And, we love the brothers. Those are our brothers, But it's also throughout the Caribbean. There's this thing they have in the Caribbean, small island, big island. You know what I mean? And now for us over here in the mainland, so-called Black American, but FBA. FBA, Foundational Black American. Why ones find that so threatening? How Doggie, Doggie, he really breaks it down, on this whole Fat Joe thing. He's going in on it. And I hope ones and ones can check out, this particular video, about who invented hip hop. You know what I mean? That's what the whole conversation's about. We got banged in the head, as the brother said, with the Cool Herc story that actually hip-hop, it was like, those from the West Indies, West Indian, the Jakes, Jamaicans or others, they came and brought us culture and all this kind of crazy stuff. And then you have ones like, the academics out there and the other ones out there saying that, well, we as so-called Black Americans, we got no culture. What? Wow. But the Doggie Diamonds presentation, that's going to be a long one right here. Now, at least we're not intending. Like we said, we was going to record something else. But as we heard how Doggie Diamonds really lays out the case, in the first, was about maybe 10, 20, I think 20, maybe 30 minutes. Before he really gets into it, he lays out a foundational case, right? I haven't heard it explained better, for why we as so-called Black people, right? When I say Black people, I'm saying foundational Black Americans, those of us who have a history here in this so-called North Country, right? The North Country, the so-called N-word. You know how the N is all over the place? North Country, that's the N, right? North America, that's an N. The so-called N-word, Even how you explain the whole thing about the whole quote N-word, what they call nigga or the N-word right there. It gets to the point that many of us are like almost like afraid to even say, not afraid, but, because of, like some words you don't want to say on social media and mess up your algorithms, but the truth must still be spoken. Even the brother had to bring out the N-word. And when he did, he said, oh man, I didn't want to use the N-word. But he even showed how, this word means something, what it meant to us and what we did. Right? This is all part of our culture. Right? If you understand what the word culture means, you may have to do the etymology like we do for other, other teachable videos, like teaching vids, where we go into the etymology. What does culture mean? Because they say we as foundational Black Americans. That's the terminology, right? FBA, right? And maybe there's a better terminology, but seeing that our people are beginning to recognize something we recognized years ago. We used to have other channels that got pulled down. Some of the Chabarim, the brothers and sisters that, you all know, those who've been, with us, walking with us. Some people say following the podcast, but, the subscribers and the brothers and sisters that have been co-laboring and fellowshipping with us, how we broke it down, the difference between saying African American. This is all before the Obama time. Obama time kind of changed social media and everything. Some of y'all might remember that, and how it's better for us to identify with Black American as in this society, in the system right here, because of the work of our ancestors, right? Let's talk briefly about some of our ancestors, but please check this out. When I saw this particular still, and then I saw this flag again. Let me just zoom in on this flag right here, because some might not know what this flag really, really means. Right? Now, he's right. Doggie's Diamond's right that we don't really have a flag in the sense like we have our own country, like, like many of the Hispanics. You know what I mean? The Hispanics that come in. When I say Hispanics, we say Spanish, often say Spanish, but here left the Star. Star really broke that down very well. They're not Spanish, but they are Hispanic, right? Because even the Spanish people know the difference, and even the Hispanic people know the difference. So we be calling y'all, Spanish. Many of our people, so yeah, he's Spanish. No, he's Hispanic, right? But that's even part of their culture. That's a part of their identification. That's a part of who they are. Maybe we didn't get it right, but we can get it right. We can learn who you are. But the disrespect, right? The disrespect that ones don't even recognize who we are or that we have a culture. And then when I saw the Doggie Diamonds video right here about Fat Joe, disrespecting, Black Americans. I say foundational Black Americans. Those Black Americans whose roots in this North Country goes at least 400 years, 1619, 2019, and many of y'all's use, how the old time says, many of yous just came in the so-called other day. Yous just came in the other day. And the interesting thing, Doggie Diamond didn't even touch on this, but many of these ones who have come to America to, benefit from this system because, what did Trump say? They had S-hole countries, at least the economy and everything. You could blame whoever you want to blame. But what Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, those Black Americans that can trace their roots in this country, right, to 400 plus years, to be getting disrespected, by other peoples that many of our people still identify either as Israelites. Some of the Israelites camp identify, the Hispanics and others as being Israelites. And I say it's that Negro blood that matters. Even the ISUPK talking about the nigger God, right? we talk about the niggus. You see how close they're trying to get? We talk about the niggus, right? And the one-to-one, that Ethiopia connection was made in this mainland here, right? And then from the fruit of that tree, right, seeds were planted in the Caribbean. That's really how it went. And even talk about the Geechee, Gullah. You wouldn't really know about the Geechee, Gullah. And here's the bad thing. We as so-called foundational Black Americans, those of us who know that we have generations, right, of our people up here in this mainland, right, in this North Country. That's what we mean when we say Black American. Because anybody who's Black, they say, yeah, we Black too, right? Because, see, we set something here for our other peoples, right? For our fellow peoples in the Caribbean, for our fellow peoples in Africa, right, and in South Central America, right? We never created no divide and conquer, but see, something has happened, right? Because of it says no good deed goes unpunished, right? So all this backlash that so-called FBA is taking, this is like the so-called no good deed goes unpunished, in the world, in this fallen world, in this mixed up system of things, right? But why is this flag so important? Okay, let's show you. You see this right here? I'm showing you right there. That's why when Doggie Diamonds put that up there, I thought about the vid that we had posted, right? I thought about the vid that we had posted, and I said, Chan. I said, yes. Because some of you don't know that vid. You know what that vid is? It's on our channel right here. All right. So that's the name of the video right there. Gullah Geechee. It's called Gullah Geechee. Is our Yiddish. I know if you say, what is Yadin talking about? What is Ayadon? Right? Yadon, right? Talking about. Our Gullah Geechee is our Yiddish, right? It was an article we had read, and we just did a kind of a little commentary, reaction, and a reasoning right there. It's a small seed. The soul went forth to sow a seed, just sowing some seeds, not trying to just get a bunch of views and everything like that, but trying to reason with, right? Reason and in some cases educate. If we can really teach somebody something that is useful that they didn't know, then hallelujah, all glory be to Abba Father. You know what I mean? But here's what we're talking about. So here on that fat show, right, that Doggie Diamonds had, you see the Ba heritage flag. So how dare you, or how dare they rather, say that, well, we have no culture. And a lot of these ones who have come here to America, and because they come here and America views them as black, right? Wherever they're from, the Caribbean, Jamaica, or wherever else in the Caribbean. But let's talk about Jamaica and other places, and even some ones that come from South and Central America, especially those who come from South and Central America who, for all intents and purposes, are black. That there's that Negro, Negrito, right? That Negra, and Negrito, Morena and Moreno blood. There's a lot of those ones and ones. They are people. I know definitely they are Israelites, because that is that so-called, N-word blood that's amongst them. Now, some of the other ones I really don't know about, right? But, in spirit and in truth, what it says, there's one Torah, right, to the homie, right, and to the stranger that sojourns. You see, that's how we operate. Even though many of us are not conscious of Torah, many of us as foundational black Americans, like it's written in the Torah, right? There's one law, there's one Torah, right? There's one law, rule, regulation to those who are homeborn. As it says in the Bible, homeborn, that's the homie, right? And to those who sojourn, right? Those who sojourn amongst us are these other peoples, that come from the Caribbean, come from Africa, come from South Central America. And we have historically, as foundational black Americans, welcomed them in. Now, Fat Joe, from what Doggie shared, and a little bit that we heard that he shared on his platform, Fat Joe, because of his music, we're not talking about his music, we're talking about his so-called politics. Because what he's doing is politicking, right? It's some politicking, right? And now I have to go to some of my Jamaican Rastas. I'm a Rastafari, but not a Jamaican Rastafari. Rastafari was born right in Ethiopia, right? And the first rays reach up here in this North Country, America. That's why you find ones like Marcus Garvey was up here when he got that real light of the truth, and that support as well. When he went back to Jamaica, we all know what happened. They don't want to talk about that, right? Talk about, well, who's the boule? They sell him out. Or maybe that happened, right? But there was some recklessness, right? But when we talk about Rastafari was born in Ethiopia. That whole Ethiopian connection is based on foundational black American scholars. And yes, some of the scholars like J.A. Rogers, right, has Jamaican roots. But it's up here, coming together up here. Like America and New York was like the Jerusalem, right? It was like making Aliyah to Jerusalem. See, people like to use that Mohammedan type of thing, like it's Mecca. Yeah, they call it a black Mecca, but really it was a black Jerusalem, right? So I'm going to show you some of these flags right here. Notice the colors, brothers and sisters. See something about those colors, right? The green, yellow, and red. You see something about those colors right there, right? Louisiana Creole, the Creole flag, right? The Gullah Geechee flag. This is our heritage. I remember I was reasoning with a sister, and she was going on about, black Americans, like sometimes there's this love-hate that some of our Caribbean folks have. Not all, but some of them have. And she was going on like, yeah, we from the island and island people, island this and island that, right? Island half egg and island cold fat. All of that. She a talk boat. Why she chat boat? Right? Yeah. So you know what? I said to her, my people from the islands too. She was like, what? How your people from the island? My people from the island. You never heard of the Georgia Sea Islands? You never heard of Daughter of the Dust? You see, this is our heritage. And now, in the world that we are in today, you have to be aware of these things. You can see that we ready. We ready. Okay, look over here, the Gullah, right? This is our part of town. So when they come and they look at America, what a whale of a country. You ever notice that America looks like a whale? You never notice, like the United States proper, it looks like a whale, right? And over here on the East Coast, we're at the tail of the whale. Now, brothers over there, west side, on the west side, the west coast, they're like the front of the whale. You ever look at that? I don't know if you ever seen that. Okay, let's go over here. Look how close our peoples are. So I know it's about the enemies playing some divide and conquer here. Look how close right here. Let's move this over here so you can see this over here, right? Okay, what do we see? You see a little small island? That little small island way at the bottom, the little tiny part at the bottom right there, they got the light spot there. That's Jamaica. Isn't that Jamaica? That's Jamaica. Isn't that Jamaica? That's Jamaica, right? Because Cuba, right, is big. Look at Cuba. Right, and then you have Haiti over there, then you have the other islands over there, right? And as we go up there, look at the Gullah. Now, I have a theory right here, and for my Ethiopian peoples, my Oromo peoples, help me with this theory. I know y'all been called the Gala over there in Ethiopia. I know that's a pejorative. The Gala is almost like the N-word, right? For many of the Oromos of today. Tell me if I'm correct with that, right? And so, but the Gala, right, and the Gullah, right? Now, we already made the Hebrew link with Gullah, right? Gola, like the redeemed, right? The whole redemption is connected in the name Gullah when we go into the Hebrew of it all. But my theory here is that the Gullah over there in the east, in Ethiopia, that there's a link with us and our people over here, the Gullah people. Because in the trans-Ethiopian ocean slave trade, see, we call it Atlantic. When we do the history back in them days, it's called the Ethiopian Ocean. So black Americans, foundational black Americans have made links, right, with the Israelites of Ethiopia and with the Ethiopians from time, right? Such a time. See, I'm combining these two because as we speak about hip-hop, who invented hip-hop? And give thanks, Doggie, for really focusing on that point about who invented hip-hop. Right, you really need to understand about our culture, right? And even the Native American link with the Gullah Geechee, Book of Acts of a Geechee king, right? Mashiach 7, King of the Geechee. Check out how King of the Geechee has. You see what logo that right there? You see what that is, right? That's why I listen to Doggie Diamond. She was talking about, well, yeah, some of us were already over here, right? Some of us were already over here before, right? So when we talk about we as black people, and they say, well, we come from Africa. Actually, yeah, a lot of our people came from Africa. Some of our people came from Europe. People don't even know about that aspect right there. When you talk about white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, you should stop and think. If the white folks are running stuff and then they call themselves white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, it makes you think there must have been a black Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Never thought about that, right? Black Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Now some people say, oh, this brother, he don't know what he's talking about. That's because they ignorant. They ignorant, right? They ignorant, right? So from all over the place. See, they always like to show that we only came from the South, come from Africa. They don't want to show that some of us were already here. Some of us came from Europe, right? Yeah, in Europe, right? Before there was the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, they did the same thing to us in Europe as the white Pilgrims did to the Native Americans in America, like the white British did to the Native Indigenous people in Australia. Right? We'll get into a more teachable moment. So they talk about we don't got no culture. Wow. All right? We don't got no culture. And you know what? On a certain level, we must not have no culture if we don't want to be proud of our Gullah Geechee culture. And we don't really want to recognize these aspects of our culture, you know, and listen to those scholars doing the work to make the connections, right, from the past to the present, right, where we can even see the futures, right? When I say the futures, I'm talking about who we are as once lost, now found. Beta Israel. We're Beta Israel of this Western Hemisphere, like the Ethiopians over there are Beta Israel over there. Right? When I say the Ethiopians, like the Israelites amongst the Ethiopians. See, we have to be careful, right? Are you not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Yisrael, right? So those connections were already, right, being made. Now, this is additional, right? Additional, every day, Ras. This is Gullah Geechee, y'all, right? Even myself, I had to put myself up on this and say, Chan, you know, there's a vibrant culture of our own people, right? The Africanisms, right, of the Gullah dialect. We have our own language, right? Our own language, right? And here's the funny thing, right? Some of us who are Rastafari and have fellowship with our Jamaican and Caribbean, like Rastafari brothers and sisters, some of us don't even recognize our common roots, right? Our roots here. So some might have gone to Jamaica and look for roots there because they have overlooked, right? They've overlooked, right? Cooked their own books. They overlooked their roots over here, right? We don't have a culture. What they're talking about? We don't have a culture, right? You know, a culture. They say, oh, well, they're from the islands and they keep it natural. And well, we got islands too. So what's up? We be Gullah Geechee, anointed people. And Gullah, when we check it out in the Hebrew, links to the word for redeem, right? The redeemed people. Not just even the anointed people, but the redeemed people, right? The Gullah Geechee people, the redeemed people. So what Fat Joe, right, is really talking about? I want you to check out Doggie Diamonds, what Doggie Diamonds is saying. You know, I think Doggie Diamonds, I really was I always like his productions, you know, when he goes in, you know, we all go through some highs and lows and everything, you know, and to see him at this video right here is like one of his finest. Meetings, right? Meetings. So the Gullah Geechee. I mean, look at the flags that we be flying. And see, this is not something that just started today. This is those who have been holding to that heritage from yesterday, you know, bringing it forward today, because the children, right, of tomorrow and the children for the future, they need to know who they be. So when one's on one will say that we don't have no culture, even about the Juneteenth, right, Louisiana, the Creole flag, the Gullah, the Geechee flag, the Ba heritage flag, right, and this is just to name some of our core flags. I mean, even when we think about ones and ones talk about bringing culture to us, like some of the Jamaican rosters, the Jakes, have been doing some of the same thing, right, that's been going on with the hip hop, right? So those up with the locks, those who say they're Rastafari or link with Ethiopia about how it's like. So the problem is that many of our people have overlooked our own root and heritage, right, of Rastafari in this North America, and those who really proclaimed it, right, to our people before, right, we get the Jamaican Rastafari spin, right? The Jamaican Rasta, yes, yeah, me saying it. You know, Gullah Geechee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, because we want our Gullah Geechee people, because many of the youths are, I would say they are Rastafari ready, right? You know, they already feel that link with it, right? But then, you know what happens? They be running into some of the same shite too, you know? And that's all a part of the divide and conquer. You could remember that the Caribbean was under the British. Think about it for a moment. You know, over here in America, they try to get us as black Americans back in the day to work with them, the British, against their bastard children that wanted to break away during the War of Independence. And they said, we'll call you the Ethiopian Regiment. You know, yeah, look up the Ethiopian Regiment. Right? Why were they calling us up here the Ethiopian? Because that verse in the Bible, are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, the B'nai Cushim, unto me, O B'nai Yisrael. Right? Not Southern. Gullah Geechee. You see, because they say, oh, that's Southern. Well, yeah, a lot of our roots in the islands, Gullah Geechee, Georgia, the Georgia Sea Islands, all of that right there. Right? And what I got to recognize, right? Is that many of our Caribbean people, right? They know about their culture in the Caribbean, the West Indies, and all of that. A lot of that many of us here, even as Black Americans, we can embrace, and we've always been embracing that culture, you know, because it's basically one culture. Notice who this is right here. You see these youths? We got to reach out to these youths. Rasta Taj, right? Ex-Jigga Flames. You see that Rasta there? Why that? Because they know there's a truth here, but no one's really teaching them what's the connection here, right? If y'all will, then may we be one to also be able to, you know, put them up, right, on the real groundation, the real foundation. Because the foundation is in Africa, is in Ethiopia. Right, the foundation of what this Rastafari is about. Rasta is like a nickname. I have to tell you, brothers, I get it. You know, Gullah Geechee, Geechee King, right? You know, check it out. Want to heal up the brothers. You know, when I look at these brothers, I see family, right? Because of my roots, right? My roots. So when someone says, oh, you Rasta? Are you Jamaican? And they say, well, it seems like you different from the others. I don't know what they mean by that, but maybe it's my Gullah Geechee roots. Maybe it's that Gullah Geechee roots, right? The Geechee Cash.app. So make sure you hit that Geechee Cash.app. You know, support the content. Please support the content if you are able to. I'm talking about right here. You know, the content, right? The hustle, most hustle walk, right? Most hustle. And we don't have no culture. What? Right? What we need to do is the scholars need to come out. Like this brother right here, Geechee Talk 101. Right? Geechee Talk 101. He's done some interesting, and there's some interesting videos what like how they say, oh, we be sounding some of our people, especially with the real Gullah Geechee talk. Oh, y'all be sounding Jamaican. You know, we take that in good spirit right there. Right? Because we understand that the Babylon system has sought to divide and conquer Israel. Right? And that's what's real, is that we all Israel. They're trying to divide and conquer the tribes, right? And we can't let the fat Joes or the rest of them, you know, do this to us. You know what I mean? The Gullah Geechee, right? The Gullah Geechee, right? The Gullah woman, right? Check out the Gullah woman. And they want to say, whoa, we don't got no culture. What you mean we don't got no culture? Right? What you mean we don't got no culture? Right? We don't have to wait for somebody to come from the Caribbean, right? Or come from the islands, those islands, because we already have our islands. See, you don't know. So we have to educate them, right? What team y'all boy on? Team rice, right? Or team mashed potato? Team rice or team mash? Now this is a whole other level right here. Ones have to recognize, right, the steps when we get to this level right here, right? That was a part of the vlog that we was going to something on, you know, the lion and the lamb right there, the Lion of Judah right there. Let me just share this with you right here, right? When we talk about who we are, right? How we fled, our ancestors fled into the wilderness of Africa. This is going back to like the 70 AD, the Roman and the Edomite murderers, right? Means that many sub-Saharan, right, Africans, right, are direct descendants, right, of Israel, Judea by bloodline and lineage. So you see how when they went to the West, right, who was sold from the West over the trans-Ethiopian Ocean that they renamed to confuse, right? They didn't want to keep Ethiopia there because they knew what the Bible said, right? That made the connection. So they changed the Ethiopic Ocean, right, to the Atlantic Ocean. It's good to see ones and ones picking up. When we first said that more than a decade ago, people were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, even though we were showing evidence. But now a lot of others recognize, and they've done videos too, right? So any content one can find here that inspires them to do more content, just, let's honor one another. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honorable, right? History should not be a mystery, right? But your story, my story, his story, I story. This is I story. Now, here's a real man, right? That we as Black American Rastafari, foundational Black American Rastafari, foundational Black American Israelites, really need to be speaking about. Who's this man right here? We're speaking about Reverend James Morris Webb, right? He is the one. Let me show you this right here, right? When we talk about the confusion, right? Doggie is talking about, with the hip hop, right? They try to change the goalposts, right? See, the problem happened, right, when they tried to say that they invented hip-hop and that we had no culture and we never invented nothing. When the fact that many of them, right, many of our people are in this country from all over, even Africa, because of what our ancestors did, even with the voting rights and all of that in 1965, what they added on to that whole voting rights and different like so-called social actions that was done, it allowed for immigrants to come from other parts of the world that the so-called white man in America never allowed in before, right? So part of this play that we're going through here is part of that play from yesterday. You have to understand the chess, right? The chessboard, right? The game of life that's being played here. This is why we have to know our history, right? Because then they'll come and fool us and try to say that we as Black Americans don't got no history. And then when we say we're Rastafari, they say, oh, that's Jamaican. No. See, what confuses one is the Jamaican Rasta, right? Because they don't know about the foundation of Rastafari, right? From Ethiopia over here in this North country that was linking up with our identity as Israelites. We have to understand this. Many of the ISUPK and the mega Israelite camps, I can't say they don't know it. I could say that they didn't know it, but some of them are coming to know this. Let me read this here if you haven't read this for yourself. Perhaps some people confused Garvey's ideas. When they talk about even many of the Rastas, the Caribbean Rastas, they big up Garvey, but they know that Garvey's ideas, right, really were inspired by the one before Garvey. And who we're talking about here? Reverend James Morris Webb. His full name, James Morris Webb, or known as Reverend James Webb, right? James, this is our Jacob, Yaakov, right? Who in 1924, right? When? In 1924, he pronounced the coming of a redeeming Black king in a speech delivered in Liberty Hall. So this had nothing to do with Jamaica, right? When we talk about Rastafari, I didn't say Rasta, right? You don't abbreviate and deviate. No, I'm saying Rastafari, right? That man-child born there. Psalm 87 verse 4, with Ethiopia, this man was born there, right? Charles Price here on becoming Rasta. Origins of Rastafari identity in Jamaica. You see what the name of it is? The Origins of Rastafari identity in Jamaica, page 47. What did Reverend James Morris Webb say? He said, look to Africa where a Black man will be, right, king. Where a Black man will be king, crowned king. In him you will find, right, the Redeemer. Let's see if we have that up here, right here. Right? Look to Africa. Right? Marcus Garvey says the same, something similar. but it's not the same thing. So Garvey is dated as saying this later on, right? And even when these things came together, they came together where? Here in Black America. Negro Universal King coming to rule the world. Negro Universal King, right? And also in other works by this man here. He's an unsung hero, right? Well, black man will be crowned king. In him, right, you will find the Redeemer. Something to that effect right there. I'll get the full quote right there, right? But we wasn't intended to get into all this. Also, this book here, this is going back to the 20s and 30s, right? So we talk about, a lot of us, we say Garvey, 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 and none of us mention James Morris Webb, right? There's something wrong with that, right? We as, black Americans, right? So when they talk about, Garvey, Prince Emmanuel, and then they try to say Selassie, let's put on the name, Haile Selassie first, right? The priest, prophet, and king. So we had the one who made those words of the prophecy, black man will be crowned king. In him you will find the Redeemer. There we go. Where black man look to Africa, where black man will be crowned king, right? The black man will be crowned king, will be king. In him you will find, in him, right? And in him, our black Lord and Savior, we see the manifestation of that prophecy, right? The King of Kings Christ, Yeshua HaMoshiach, right? And the priest, right? Who's the priest? You don't know that man right there? Commandment Keepers Congregation, Living God, Reverend Wentworth Arthur Matthew, right? So this is our, right? When we talk about, because this is the original. This is actually the original, right? This is the original, right? Now, no disrespect, but it's just, we can look at the history. We can look at the rightful order of things. But this part of our history, who James Morris Webb was, what he did, what he said, what words of prophecy, right, on the Bible, and how those things came to pass, right? How about Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford? He's not listed here, but he's a part of it, right? But who carried that forward with the Commandment Keepers, Congregation of Living God, Ethiopian Commandment Keepers, right? Congregation of Living God, the Royal Order of the Ethiopian Hebrews, right? So here, this is a little bit in honor, when we talk about foundational black Americans, of James Morris Webb. It's his prophecy that became the true inspiration of the true Rastafari movement. Now, with the whole Garvey thing, that's where things got a little bit twisted, right? Honestly, that's where it got twisted right there. So when ones say Garvey, he might have been a voice crying in the wilderness, right? But we're talking about the prophets that were prophesizing before he heard the prophecy to go cry it. Check, right? Negro Universal King to rule the world, right? Right? This is all from the history, right? Speaking about the Negro characters in the Bible. This is where it really starts out for us as black, or steps up. Not really starts, but it steps up with the publication, the media, and our people starting to read and starting to learn. We're talking about the Roaring 20s, right? And this book here, if you haven't checked it out, there's a lot of reprints, different copies. The Black Man, Father of Civilization. Who's this by? James Morris Webb, right? So let's talk about our unsung heroes, right? The Black Man, Father of Civilization, by who? James Morris Webb, right? If you haven't checked it out, check it out. How about this version of this? Just a couple of different ones who are publishing and republishing. African Scholar Publication presents The Black Man, the Father of Civilization, proven by biblical history. Biblical Reverend James Morris Webb, right? And he's the one that put that prophecy that told us to look to Africa, where a black man will be crowned king, and in him you will find the Redeemer, right? In him you will find the Redeemer. There's a biblical prophecy about the kinsman Redeemer. Some people don't understand because whitewashed Christianity has confused them. So when we say that, they think that we're throwing shade on the Moshiach Yeshua. No, we're saying this is the fulfillment of the word, right? And those prophecy in the scripture of the Moshiach, right? And of that salvation, right? Coming through our own orders, right? Our own orders, right? That the white man was not able, though he tried, right? He tried the fascist invasion, the Battle of Adwa, right? We go back to the 1500s, what he tried in Ethiopia, right? Because when he saw those Israelites, he said, wait, hold up. These Ethiopians, these black people are claiming to be Israelites. How about this right here? Jesus, get that. Here we go right here. Jesus was a what? A Negro. You hear that? You hear that? An N-word. My niggas. My nigga. My nigga. Right? My niggas. Right? Was a Negro by blood. Uh-oh. Right? And he was talking about King Tut was a Negro. King Solomon was a Negro. Right? This is back in the what? This is back, right? This is back all in the 20s, the roaring 20s, right? That led to that coronation, right? Right? Picture of Jesus, of Yeshua as a black man. You see, this was necessary to get that spell off of our people, right? But as soon as the spell gets off the people, someone comes along to put it back on the people, right? Because they want us as docile Negroes, not knowing who we be, right? And, because, oh, man. Anyway, we're going to seal this up right here, right? We're going to seal this up, right? But there's some more you need to check out. We promote other people's books and works that can be interesting. When they talk about, the white man gave you the Bible, the white man didn't want us to read the Bible. As soon as we started reading the Bible, we got revolutionary. That means if we're reading the Bible now and we're not being about that progress, I say revolutionary, right? Revolutionary for the true way of God's people, then something's wrong. What they gave us was the slave Bible, right? You see what they said? The slave Bible, selected parts of the Holy Bible for the use of the Negro slaves of the British West India Islands. And then they try to do this to us up here as well. So you don't want them to read no Bible, right? So it's like the same deception they was doing to our people up here in the mainland, they was doing to our people in the Caribbean, right? So for us now, over here to be getting caught up, right, on these sort of arguments, right, people got, and here love to Fates and Gates, they got some devil obligations, right, double obligations, right? And you really need to see what they did in that so-called slave Bible. Like what parts they cut out of the Bible. I mean, they cut it up. They really cut it up. That's why they focus one's attention on slave, obey your master. Obey your master, and get the people confused, right? Because the Bible is really against what they call slavery, right? The white man, and the coons and buffoons, right? The slave Bible was a tool of oppression or downpression. What do we mean by that? The slave Bible. Well, you see, in the slave Bible, they cut out many